On April 14, 1561, the people of Nuremberg began their day as usual. It was early morning, just after sunrise. The sky should have been clear and calm. Instead, many residents noticed something strange above the city. Shapes appeared near the sun, filling the sky with movement and color. Witnesses described seeing round objects, long shapes, and cross-like forms. These objects did not stay still. They moved quickly, changed direction, and seemed to interact with one another. Some people believed the objects were fighting in the sky. Others were unsure what they were seeing, but agreed that it was not normal. Later that same year, the event was recorded in writing and illustration. This record is the main reason the Celestial Battle of Nuremberg is still discussed today. It was not a private vision. It was a shared public experience witnessed by many. Nuremberg and public records. Nuremberg in the 16th century was an important city. It was a center for trade, education, and printing. Many people could read, and printed material was widely shared. Because of this, public records were taken seriously. One common form of record was the broadsheet. A broadsheet was a single printed page that described important events. These included floods, wars, unusual natural events, and signs in the sky. Broadsheets were meant to inform the public, not to entertain. The Celestial Battle of Nuremberg was recorded in a broadsheet printed by Hans Glaser. The printer included both a written description and an image. This mattered because printing was expensive and time-consuming. People at the time trusted broadsheets as public records. They were often read aloud and discussed in public spaces. Because of this, historians believe the event was taken seriously by the community. This background helps explain why the Nuremberg sky event was not ignored or forgotten. It was recorded in a form that people believed represented real events. The 1561 broadsheet. The broadsheet from 1561 shows a detailed image of the sky above Nuremberg. At the center is the sun. Around it are many shapes of different sizes. These include spheres, crosses, long rods, and tube-like forms. Some shapes are dark, while others are light or bright. Many appear to be moving toward each other. The image suggests activity, not calm or balance. It looks crowded, as if the sky is full of objects. Below the sky, the illustration shows objects falling toward the ground outside the city. Smoke or dust is shown rising from the land. This suggests that the event did not end quietly, but had a clear conclusion. The broadsheet does not read like fiction. It reports what people said they saw. This combination of image and text makes the document one of the most detailed records of a historical sky event. Eyewitness descriptions. Eyewitnesses described many different shapes in the sky. The most common were round spheres. These were said to move quickly and appear in groups. Some were bright, while others were dark. People also reported seeing cross-shaped objects. These were unusual and stood out in the descriptions. Long, rod-like or cylindrical shapes were also mentioned. Some reports described these shapes as hollow or tube-like. Witnesses said the objects moved toward each other. Some appeared to chase others. At times, objects seemed to collide or break apart. The movement was active and continuous. The descriptions came from people watching during daylight. The sun was visible, which means the sky was clear enough for observation. This reduces the chance that the event was caused by darkness or dreams. While witnesses used the language and beliefs of their time, their focus was on physical shapes and motion. They described size, position, and direction. These were not vague visions but detailed observations shared by many people at once. Aftermath and public reaction. According to the broadsheet, the event ended with several objects falling from the sky. These objects were said to land outside the city. There is no surviving evidence that physical objects were recovered. However, the belief that something fell was widely shared. This added to the seriousness of the event. The public reaction was calm but concerned. People did not panic, but they did not ignore it either. Many discussed the event as a possible sign or warning. At the time, unexplained sky events were often linked to moral or religious meaning. The broadsheet encouraged reflection rather than fear. It suggested people should think about their behavior and faith. This was common in the 16th century. What matters is that the event was not dismissed. Religious leaders and city officials did not deny that it happened. The lack of rejection shows that the event was accepted as real, even if its cause was unknown. Common explanations. Modern researchers have offered several explanations for the celestial battle of Nuremberg. One explanation involves atmospheric effects. Sundogs and light reflections can appear near the sun and create bright shapes. Under certain conditions, these effects can look complex and colorful. People unfamiliar with optics might describe them as solid objects. Another explanation is meteors or fireballs. Multiple meteors entering the atmosphere could appear as moving objects. If several appeared close together, people might believe they were interacting. Some researchers also suggest misunderstanding. In the 16th century, people did not have scientific knowledge of weather and space. Natural events were often explained using religious ideas. These explanations help explain parts of the event. However, no single explanation fits all details perfectly. The shapes described, the length of the event, and the reported falling objects are difficult to explain fully using one cause alone. Unresolved details. Despite common explanations, some details remain unclear. Sundogs usually appear as light spots or arcs. They do not usually look like crosses or cylinders. They also do not move independently. Meteor events are usually short. They appear and disappear quickly. The Nuremberg event lasted long enough for extended observation. This does not match typical meteor behavior. Another issue is consistency across history. Similar sky events were recorded in Basel in 1566 and in other parts of Europe. These reports also describe shapes, movement, and conflict in the sky. This does not prove a single cause. It does suggest that unusual sky events were observed more than once and recorded in similar ways. Historians struggle to separate observation from interpretation. Even after removing religious meaning, the descriptions still point to complex activity that remains difficult to explain with certainty. Why the mystery still remains? The celestial battle of Nuremberg remains important because it is well documented. It was recorded by witnesses, printed by a known source, and preserved for centuries. It was not passed down as a story. It exists as a physical, historical record. This makes it different from myths or legends. The event shows how people in the past observed the world carefully, even when they lacked scientific tools. They recorded what they saw honestly, even when they could not explain it. Today, the event remains unsettled. Scientists, historians, and researchers continue to study it, not to prove one theory, but to understand how humans respond to the unknown. The celestial battle of Nuremberg reminds us that history still holds unanswered questions. Some events remain unexplained, not because they are false, but because our understanding continues to evolve.